The Elizabeth line has been incredibly successful and has exceeded even the highest of its expectations. It has brought many parts of London closer together and allowed lots of development and housing to be built. So of course, people have been thinking, how can we bring the benefits of the Elizabeth line to more parts of London? Basically, can we extend the Elizabeth line? Now, there aren't too many ways that this could be done. Most parts of the line just can't be realistically extended. The existing branches of the Great Western Main Line and Great Eastern Main Line all can't fit Elizabeth line trains and have difficult junction layouts, so these couldn't be added to the line. And branching the line more than it already is would mean reducing service for existing sections of the line, which really isn't something that we want to do. So things like taking over the Chiltern lines are off the table. Any serious plan to extend the Elizabeth line would need to come off of one of the existing ends. Heathrow and Abbey Wood are the only two places that the line could realistically be extended from. Today though, we're going to talk about Abbey Wood, but I've got a video on Heathrow coming out soon. Subscribe so you don't miss out on that, or any new videos in general. We also have a Discord server if you're interested, link is in the description. Anyway, that leaves us with Abbey Wood, which is in a great position for extension. The area between Abbey Wood and Dartford, and especially from Dartford to Ebbsfleet, is currently seeing a lot of new housing being built, and very quickly. It's one of the fastest growing areas for housing in the country and has potential for a lot more too. Every station from Dartford to Northfleet is seeing new construction nearby. Improving the transport links to these areas is critical as all this housing gets built, and extending the Elizabeth line is the obvious way to make this happen. Not only would this provide more service to the existing line, which is great, but it would also improve journey times into central London and also make trips out west and to Heathrow a lot easier than before. Many passengers already take Thameslink or Southeastern to the Elizabeth line anyway. It's clearly the preferred route into central London. So what would an extension today look like? Abbey Wood is already served by Thameslink and Southeastern trains that go on to many further destinations, but not as frequently as they could be and with a long journey time into London. So let's head over there and see what things look like. How has Thameslink already cancelled a train today? Anyway, already late. Sun's rising and we're finally here. Dartford. Anyway, we're at Dartford now, cause why not? Today's off-peak service consists of a twice hourly all-station service between Cannon Street and Dartford. This means that the section of track from Abbey Wood to Dartford sees 8 trains per hour at peak times and 6 trains per hour at off-peak times. A train about every 10 minutes. This is a decent frequently, but the line still has space for more trains. Some of the South Western Railway and Southern lines into Waterloo and Victoria see more than 15 trains per hour on some tracks, so it's definitely doable, and definitely needed with all of the new housing going up in this area. Maybe not quite 15 trains per hour, but certainly more than what we've got now. To make this happen, the Thameslink service would probably need to cull at all the stations. This way, trains can run closer together without fast trains catching up to slow trains. We could probably squeeze in 4 trains an hour from the Elizabeth line, bringing the frequency of the line up to 10 trains per hour at off-peak times and 12 trains per hour at peak times. So yeah, we can definitely fit in a decent amount of Elizabeth line trains, assuming the signals can keep up with it, but now we have the issue of turning these trains around. Dartford has a bit of a difficult station layout. Dartford has 4 platforms and some sidings beyond the station for trains to turn around. Most trains turn around on the platforms though. I was having a hard time seeing what... Oh, networker. I was having a hard time seeing what capacity to... Give you a minute. I was having a hard time seeing what capacity to turn around trains looks like, but currently at peak times, 6 trains an hour manage to turn around here. Without any sort of grade separation on the junction and only so many platforms, I doubt we could turn any more trains around here though. Frustratingly, the station doesn't have any room for expansion or extra platforms, being sandwiched between 2 roads. So with our 4 trains an hour coming off the Elizabeth line, maybe 2 of them could turn around here, at least at off-peak times. This means that most Elizabeth line trains would continue beyond Thameslink here to Luton. Right. So with our 4 trains per hour of Elizabeth line trains, maybe 2 of them could end here, at least at off-peak times. But that means that Elizabeth line trains would continue beyond Dartford, and there are advantages to this. As we said earlier, the fastest growing area is between Dartford and Ebbsfleet, seeing the most housing construction. So this is one of the more important areas to serve. Beyond Dartford, the service on the line changes little, with an extra 2 trains per hour from Victoria to Gravesend via Bexley Heath, another 2 trains per hour from Charing Cross to Gravesend via Sidcup, running fast from London Bridge to Hither Green, and Thameslink going now, and he's gone. An extra 2 trains per hour from Charing Cross to Gravesend via Sidcup, then at Gravesend, high-speed trains join the line from St Pancras, with 2 trains per hour from St Pancras to Faversham, and one of them continuing to Ramsgate. At Rochester, another 3 trains per hour from Victoria join, 1 to Gillingham, 1 to Ramsgate, and 1 to Dover. So yeah, lots of very different services going on here. But all of the different types of services using the line here will become problematic, so remember that for later. At Gillingham, there's a bay platform for trains to terminate. However, this is already used by Thameslink trains. But Rainham is probably the perfect place to end this Elizabeth line extension at. Even though Thameslink trains already occupy the bay platform, right next to this is a car park, and by removing maybe 20 parking spaces, we could fit in a new bay platform right next to this, and definitely be able to turn around Elizabeth line trains here. Removing these parking spaces shouldn't be too big of an issue, there's plenty of parking around here. That being said though, Rainham is quite far out from London, and isn't on an especially fast line. However, there is one more place we could end the extension at. Of course, like the rest of the Elizabeth line, we would see new station buildings and step-free access and all of that stuff. 376. Charing Cross. Of course, like the rest of the Elizabeth line, we would see new station buildings and step-free access and all of that stuff, but while we're doing all of that, there's an excellent connection that could be made. Northfleet and Ebbsfleet International are very close together, but don't have any direct connection. Directly connecting the Elizabeth line, Thameslink, and Southeastern to high-speed services would be a very powerful connection, with quick trains into central London and the coast, and local connections to all of these new developments. Additionally, international service may get resumed here, which is very possible with new channel tunnel operators, only increasing the importance of an interchange here. But between the 2 stations, there's a bit of empty space with an industrial siding. It wouldn't really be all that complicated to set up some platforms here, and use it for terminating Elizabeth line trains. And the 376 is off. Alright, bye. Have fun at Charing Cross. Yeah, he's going to Charing Cross. Oh, we've got another arriving. Fun. The occasional freight train should still be able to run too, so we wouldn't need to remove the rail connection from the busy industrial area. In my opinion, this is the perfect place to end the Elizabeth line at. Even better than Rainham. So let's build this right now then, right? However, things aren't so simple. There are a few challenges with running Elizabeth line trains past Abbey Wood. First of all, the most obvious problem is that the line is third rail, and the Elizabeth line runs on overhead. We could put a OLE along the line here, and the Thameslink trains could actually use this too. It does have some advantages, which I talk about more in this video, but new OLE is quite expensive, as you'd need to modify lots of bridges and line-side structures, in addition to actually installing pylons and everything. The cheaper alternative would be to fit third rail shoes and a second set of electric equipment to the 345s, which also isn't cheap, but certainly a lot cheaper than putting up wires. So a bit expensive, but certainly possible. Then at Abbey Wood, a new junction would be needed to bring Elizabeth line trains onto the Southeastern and Thameslink platforms. But that should be easy, there's plenty of space to make that happen. So far, it seems like throwing a bit of money at the problem will make it go away. But there is one big issue that doesn't have an obvious solution. The issue is that sharing the line with other existing services means that the Elizabeth line would become very vulnerable to delays originating from Southeastern or Thameslink, both of which aren't exactly well known for their on-time performance. The Great Western Main Line part of the Elizabeth Line already causes enough issues, and that only shares its tracks with some freight and the occasional Great Western Railway train. Imagine what chaos Thameslink or even Southeastern could bring. Ugh. The only way to avoid that is to build another parallel set of tracks for the Elizabeth Line, which would be incredibly expensive. So yeah, that's quite unlikely to happen. But with the need for improved transport links and all the development happening, something needs to be done, and I think that there's actually a way around the potential delays coming from Southeastern and Thameslink. There is some extra space just above the existing tracks beyond Abbey Wood station. By adding in an area for trains to wait before entering the Elizabeth Line, late trains wouldn't have as big of an impact, as we could prioritise trains starting at Abbey Wood on time. This certainly adds in some flexibility, even if it doesn't completely fix the reliability issue. But yeah, not too much could be done about bringing in delays off of Southeastern and Thameslink. So yeah, this extension isn't super difficult to get built and would be very important for the whole area. So maybe it's time we start properly thinking about doing it, even if it is only a couple trains per hour, if we want to try and keep the Elizabeth Line as on time as we can. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see us next time.